What's up, everyone? I bought a scam car so you didn't have to. This is the definition of beauty's only skin deep. What a piece of, whether it's the dealership or a guy down the street, most of them are all going to have one thing in common. They're not selling the car for their health. There's a reason why it's for sale. Whether it's, minor or major, a lot of them are just sitting there thinking you have their money and they just need a legal way to get it from your wallet into theirs. So just never trust anyone selling a car. I don't care if it's your uncle. That being out of the way, let's take a look at this old thing right here. This is a 2003 Chevy Trailblazer LT. It's got a lot of crap in it. You can have your kids in the back have different headphones listening to a radio station that you don't have to. The interior is really, really clean. The color is kind of green. So the person probably selling it to the guy I bought it from was probably thinking money, 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 money. But the exterior looks really good. It's pretty sharp. It has a little bit of front impact damage, what I would imagine is a deer. Nothing major, kind of cobbled back together with wood bits, custom. The very first thing you're going to notice about your prospective purchase is the exterior. Never buy a car when it's raining. In this case, the photos online, there's 4 or 5 of them, Facebook Marketplace. Definitely don't expect it to be something like a auction site or something. But 4 or 5 photos. One thing I didn't have a photo of was the front end damage. It was from afar, and if I sat there and zoomed in, I probably would have easily seen it. But I didn't notice it before I went down there. And when I pulled up, the very first thing I noticed was a chunk of wood sticking out from underneath the headlight, which was kind of a red flag on the whole vehicle. I was like, oh no. And he goes, yeah, I'm sorry I didn't take a picture and put it up on Facebook. And I'm like, yeah, no worries. It is what it is. So there's a little dent right here, and obviously the headlight had been damaged by a deer. The hood has a little bit of a dent as well. Otherwise, cosmetically, the body itself only has a little bit of rust right above the passenger rear wheel well and right in front of the passenger rear wheel well. Otherwise, great shape. If we move into the interior, you'll find that the interior is in excellent condition. So it stands to reason that a $2,000 asking price for a SUV with good tires, 39,000 miles, 30,000, somewhere in between 30 and 40,000 miles, 4.2 liter straight 6 Atlas engine, also known as the Ameribera. That's for a different video. $2,000 isn't too bad. Why did he drop it down to $1,000? Well, I still can't believe it because I can't get over how nice this interior is. Fully loaded, love it. We sit there, we look at the actual dash, and we can see that we turn it on. Now this car is stone cold. Have a half tank of gas. Cranks right up. Alternator gets over 14 volts. The oil pressure is over 40. Temperature's freezing. Right now, the car is idling at around 1300, which is, it's really cold. You can actually hear it starting to drop down. So it's not like it has a high idle. It does say service engine soon. He said it needed a new, what did he say? Needed new catalytic converters. But the radio and everything like that, I actually haven't tried the radio. Works. Heat works. I actually don't know if heat works. The fan blows. Air conditioning works. Just feel that 10-degree weather out there. It doesn't have an exhaust leak. It sounds nice and clear. Not bad. Sounds good. The ceiling, not sagging. Oof, the mirror is defective. It shows one hell of an ugly dude. Oh my God. Close that right back up. But other than that, a great vehicle. One of the things he did mention was the power steering rack needed to be replaced. Now that could be bad lines. It could be all kinds of stuff. So maybe that's an easy fix. Maybe that's a really bad fix. Who knows? But no, he didn't have to mention it. There's no immediate sign that there's any problem. I can turn the steering wheel back and forth and it doesn't grind, whine. It's responsive. It's not doesn't feel weighted. It feels pretty darn good. So why is this a potential scam? How did he get scammed by this? Check underneath the hood. See if we can figure it out there. So what is wrong with this? Now, we start to see some of the problems once we open this hood up. Not the engine. That sounds great. Possibly a bad power steering pump. Sounds a little bit grindy from here. And it does look like he may have spilt some power steering fluid going into the reservoir, which should be your first indication if someone's not disclosing to you that there's a power steering problem, that there might be. Power steering doesn't normally just get lost. It's not getting up to temperature too super fast. We always want to go ahead and take a look at the reservoir. Make sure that there's no stop leak or anything like that. And in this case, we have nice clean coolant. I don't believe it's the proper color, so someone probably threw just regular coolant in here at some point. It's not up to temperature yet, so it's not bleeding through the system. It does look like the reservoir is empty, or pretty close to it. You're going to want to look to make sure that your AC unit hasn't been bypassed, and in this case it hasn't. Now, before you run the engine, check the oil, check the transmission fluid. We can check the transmission fluid now. Which is nice. This has a locking dipstick tube. What you're looking for is a little bit of a burn smell or a lot of bit of burn smell, and doesn't smell or taste burnt. I checked the oil already. It looks a little dark, but it looks like it may have only been changed kind of recently and driven a small amount. So where's the problem? Still not up to temperature. Let's keep looking. Now, obviously, besides the fact that we have half of a cabinet holding the headlight on and some zip ties indicating there's some cabinetry involved, somebody should have been a woodworker, not a mechanic, we start to see the main problem. This brace that's going from the inner fender, or the inner fender over to your radiator core support is not super important, but when it looks like it was pulled from the wreck of the Titanic, you should start looking deeper. And if you look down to the top of your strut tower, it shouldn't look like it's ready to fall apart. This unfortunately has a significant problem with rust. Now, I can see from here, it's a lot of surface rust on the top of the frame rail. Cross member looks really, really rough. And looking down towards the transmission, you're seeing a little bit of rust here and there, but all in all, nothing too scary. But it should give you pause. Oh, old man noises. One of the best things about an SUV, a truck, or anything that's off the ground is you can take a peek underneath it. And the very first thing I looked at was actually behind this section. I haven't looked at this section here. I saw I needed to see from over there, but we'll take a look at this right here together. First glance, the frame looks, yeah, it looks like something. You can see right where everything's kind of coming together here, it's starting to turn into layers. And I like layer cake, but not when it comes to structure of the vehicle. Now you might be asking, what about the other side? Well, I can smell gas on this side, and when it's running, you can smell it more up front. So there's probably a leak somewhere around the engine. Super helpful. That's not dangerous at all. The frame on this side is a little bit better than the other side, but more of the same. The closer you get to the rear arch, you'll start to see a lot more of it dissolving. So the first thing that you're going to notice is the trailer hitch is extremely bad. But boy, this cross member, it's more or less detaching itself from the actual main part of the frame. And the structure of the actual steel part of the bumper is non-existent. Like I can see the license plate holder through this bumper. There's nothing left of it. This bumper is a suggestion for safety, and it gives the outwards of appearance that it will do something, but it sure the heck won't. The moral of the story is I don't really care what you're buying. I don't care if you're buying yourself that 1969 Chevelle with the big old blower sticking out of the hood, or you're going to buy yourself this crap box that you're going to be rocking around for the winter. You need to spend the time to go over the vehicle to make sure that it will pass your state inspections. Depending on what state you're in, that's pretty important. Some states don't have it. New York does. You know, this thing right here, it comes up with the code saying, hey, you need to change, you know, something with the catalytic converters. It could be something as simple as putting new OBD2 sensors in it, or maybe a test pipe with a anti-fouler in it or something like that. I would never do that. Never do that or anything. But you can't replace the frame. Some people will patch it and some places will look the other way. This thing is, there's nothing to patch. The bumper's gone. The structure that holds the bumper on is gone. So you're knocking the rivets out. So you're now up to thousands of dollars of, you know, repair if a shop's doing it, or realistically, there's no repairing this. This vehicle will never see the road ever again. I can't even take it for a test drive. I sat in it to drive it up onto the trailer, and that's it. I'll tell you, compared to the Escalade, this thing feels like a booster seat. It's not as comfortable. It feels very weird. It's odd. It's an odd vehicle as far as sitting-wise. But that's besides the point. That's neither here nor there. To each their own, you know. There are people out there that are going to take advantage of you. It's just unfortunate that's the way the world is. So make sure you do your due diligence. In any case, I'm going to pull this 4.2 liter monstrosity out of here, keep the transmission, especially the bell housing, and we're going to find something to put this in after we put the 500 cubic inch big block into our square body. So until next time, remember, keep our shiny side up, and God bless.